Now it's time for another Board Game Brawl preview with Nick Meanahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com. Hey peeps, today we're going to take a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Originz, with a Z, the super-powered card game that is from Flavor Faction, that is the name of the publishing company. Now, if you like what you see throughout the rest of this preview video, I'm going to encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page. Like I said, it's running right now. You can follow the link up in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video. Those links will take you to the Kickstarter page. You don't have to take my word from anything that I say here. You can go to the page and find out for yourself and hopefully consider backing the project. Now, Originz, superpowered card game, is a competitive game and it can be played in a myriad of different ways. You can do just a simple duel, you can do multiplayer, you can do team-up matchups, you can do sealed drafts, all kinds of interesting things. But what it boils down to thematically is that it's in a post-apocalyptic world where there's been this big disaster and people are awakening their superpowers, a bevy of superpowers. And that's the thing, is that in the game, the physical game, there are multiple decks of cards, each representing different superpowers. And you could be a cyborg, you could have super strength, you could have mystical enchantment powers, necromancy, all of these different types of things. You can either just take one of the pre-made decks that's in the box, or you can actually construct the deck with all the different construction rules and with your friends, however you want to do it. But you'll take the deck, you'll have a special ability and power, you'll have these other cards that you can use throughout the course of the game, including your own minions potentially, and you're trying to knock out the other player, and in this case, your deck is your life. So let me go ahead and give you a brief look at how the game is played with a prototype version of the game. So you need to keep that in mind, that some of the things that you see in this prototype version may not make it into the final version, or some things might be altered. Just bear that in mind. Then we're going to come back, I'll give you my final thoughts. Originz, the superpowered card game, is a competitive game for 2 to 8 players, depending on which of the many game modes you choose to play with, including team mode, draft, and sealed tournaments, and even a 1 versus all mode. However, we will talk about the standard duel format here, though even within that context, you can either use the pre-made decks or construct your own. The goal of the game is to eliminate the other player or players by dealing them damage, which forces them to put cards from their deck into their discard pile, which is known as their stockpile. If you can deal more damage than they have cards left in their deck, you win. The game includes 12 pre-made decks, with each one being associated with a different origin as indicated by the symbols on the cards, such as Cyborg Upgrade, Super Strength, or Dragon Mutation. Each deck has an ability card that will stay face up in front of you during the game. At the beginning of the game, you decide which side of the card to use, hero or villain. There's a different ability on each side, and you can use this ability once per game at no energy cost. Once used, it is considered purged and removed from the game. The rest of your deck consists of assault cards, tactics, weapons, and minions. All of them function by spending energy to play them, as indicated by the green battery notches in the top corner, and then spending that energy again to activate the card's abilities. Some cards deal damage, while others help you with special advantages. Minions are the most different, as they have attack and defense ratings, and stay in play and attack your foe, but can be disarmed and sent to your stockpile by having damage dealt to them. Each player shuffles their deck and draws 5 cards for their opening hand. Your ability card is placed to the side on a side of your choice. You'll leave space for your stockpile and combat area. On your turn, you first acquire 3 energy to spend on using and activating your cards. You may then draw 1 card from your deck, although this is optional because remember, your deck is your life. Then comes the action phase, where you can play cards from your hand and activate the abilities of cards in your combat zone. You may also use your once per game ability, should you so choose, but once you've used it, it's gone, which in this game is called Purged. Any card that you use gets rotated sideways to signify that, and when you're done with your turn, these cards get put back on the bottom of the deck in any order. When you've dealt so much damage to an opponent that they run out of cards to place in their stockpile, you've won the game, at least in a straight one-on-one duel, but like I said, there are many other gameplay modes to explore. That is Originz. There's a couple of major takeaways from Originz that I think would be certain signs that you might enjoy this game. So one of them is the theme, of course. It's interesting because it's not just superpowered people, it's superpowered people in like a post-apocalyptic situation where you're all like vying for dominance. And you choose whether or not you're going to be a superhero or a supervillain at the beginning. And these characters don't have names, and it's because they're templates. You're portraying them. And in fact, if you get deep into the game and don't just want to use the pre-made decks anymore, you construct them as well with the power suite that you want them to have, which is an interesting aspect to it, and it means that you feel more like you're doing these powerful things and that you are responsible for it. And it also means that the superhero theme comes out a bit more. It's not just that you're recruiting these characters or that you have this one particular character. Now you can potentially be a bevy of them with their different power suites going on and the different abilities. And again, choosing a hero or villain means you have a different ability, so that's going to be different every game. And that leads into my next point, which is variability. This game has a ton of different cards, a ton of different decks, different ways to mix them together, lots of different game modes that you can choose from, depending on the number of players that you have, what your team is into, how competitive they are, whether they want to play in teams. There's a 1 versus all mode. Lots and lots of different things that you can do. And then on to my next point that's hand in hand with that. So this game can be for casual people, certainly. It's easy to learn, easy to play, fast to play, depending on what game mode that you choose to play with. But it also can appeal to the more hardcore competitive card gamer who is used to games that are expandable, collectible, customizable, whatever you want to say, but perhaps does not have the patience anymore for the bad things that go along with that type of system, having to buy randomized booster packs and all those different types of things. Right out of the box, there's so many different cards in the game and card combinations that it's, as described in the book, you can easily do the types of tournaments that a collectible card player typically does. Draft tournaments, sealed tournaments, just league tournaments, all those different types of things. And I'm sure there's more content on the way as part of the Kickstarter. So because of that, the variability, the amount of content, the theme of the game, and the ease of its use, it's potentially going to reach a very wide audience. There's a lot of people who could potentially be interested in Originz. Is it right for you? Well, that's where you're going to have to do a little bit of work and go to the official Kickstarter project page. So if you like what you saw here, if you think it has piqued your interest, go to the page, check out the pledge levels, check out what's going on there, check out all the different types of things that they might unlock during the course of the campaign, and decide if it's right for you. You can follow the link in the top corner of your screen as well as down in the description section underneath this video. That is Originz, the super-powered card game from Flavor Faction. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting our sponsors. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.